Welcome to Barchart's series of webinars designed to educate you on a variety of market concepts, inform you of features and tools Barchart provides related to these concepts, and finally, to give you some trader's insight to help you make a more informed investment decision. Today's subject, using alerts to stay ahead of the competition. So having been in the trading game for over 30 plus years, I've always been envious of other traders who seem to be one step ahead of me. Did you see that XYZ made a new monthly high? Or I got a buy signal on stock ABC today. How are they able to keep in touch with so many different symbols and all the different market conditions and all those variables and probabilities of the different kinds of outcomes? And what I've come to find is the use of alerts. Hello, everyone. My name is John Rowland, and so for today's session, we're going to do a little bit different than what we've done in other past sessions. We're a little bit more education and trading. Here, what we're going to really talk about is we're going to look at a unique bar chart tool, the feature of alerts, how to find them, how to set them, how to manage them, how they are delivered to us, and then the versatility of the different types and fields Barchart provides to help us with our alerts. But before we get to that, please welcome my partner and our moderator, Barchart's project director and expert of everything Barchart, Gene Baker. Hello, Gene.
Good afternoon, John. Boy, you set me up there, didn't you?
Well, you know how I always appreciate you always teach me something in a lot of these sessions, and I'm sure today not only am I going to help our subscribers learn about alerts, but you are definitely probably going to teach me something. I can guarantee that.
Well, let's see.
All right, you ready to get started?
We're ready. Let's go.
Okay, great. So just remember today always is that all of our sessions are educational purposes only, and that decisions to buy, sell, or hold or trade securities, commodities, or any investments involve risk and best made based on the advice of a qualified financial professional. And under no circumstances shall we be liable for any loss or damages you or anyone else incurs as a result of any trading or investment activity that you or anyone else engages in based on material or information that you receive through barchart.com or our services. Okay, so the first thing we should be asking ourselves is, is who can get alerts and where can I find them? So all registered users of Barchart, be it free memberships or premier members, have access to alerts. Now, free members are limited to one price alert per symbol, where premium or premier members have unlimited number of alerts, and they also have access to all of the capabilities of Barchart's alert fields. Now, the second part is where can I find the alert links? And they're literally found almost on every page. So if I just pull up any symbol, any stock symbol, any ETF, any commodity, we're going to find the alerts up here. It's this little exclamation point. But if I go to a chart, again, you're going to find that little exclamation point to allow you to find alerts. If I go to, for instance, dashboard, a lot of traders like using our dashboard features. Under the dashboard down here, you can find where you can set alerts. If I'm in a watch list or I'm on a data page over here where it says links, these three little dots, if I click on that, add an alert. If I go to a portfolio, any of the portfolios that you've saved, again, the same thing. You can add an alert. If you're working in flip charts, on any of the symbols that you're looking at, you can add an alert. So there's a lot of ways we can create an alert on a very specific symbol. But I don't have to go through that specific symbol. I can go to something called, in our tools section, something called the Alert Center. And the Alert Center is going to allow me to set alerts. It's going to allow me to organize alerts that I have. It's going to allow me to manage the ones that I've already created and all of those previous alerts. So new alerts and previous alerts. So first, let's talk about how do I get notified of my alerts once I've created some alerts. So we have a couple of ways we can be notified. One is I can get notified through an email. That will come to an email that is going to be registered as your account. The other one is I can get enabled on screen. While I'm on the site, if I click on that, then any of the alerts that are active or become, triggered will be sent to me on screen while I'm on the website itself. Now, there is another way we can get alerts, and that is through text messaging. And if you come in through here and look at text configuration. So, Jean, there is some nuances about that, correct?
Well, okay, so in order to receive text notification when an alert is triggered, that is a Barchart Premier feature. We also are, you'll find if especially if you're in Canada, some of the carriers, there are restrictions, and unfortunately we cannot deliver text alerts to certain international phone numbers. But if you're Premier, you click that configure text alert button, you put in your phone number, we send you a code to your phone, and you have to enter that code as a verification before we will start sending you text messages.
See, I told you were going to teach me something today. Okay, so basically, emails and on-screen notifications is probably the most of us are going to be using this feature. Now, what types of alerts can I create? Well, here we can come in this drop-down feature. We can look at what are my active alerts, those ones that I'm waiting for them to be triggered. Now, an active alert is just an alert that once I've created it, and if I check that box, that means that I'm waiting for that. It's active. I have inactives. Inactives are ones that where the active box is not checked, which would make sense. Then I have triggered alerts, and I also have today's triggered alerts. So again, this is where I can kind of manage some of my alerts. So for instance, today I have 3 alerts that were triggered today. Now we'll talk about the difference between an intraday and an end of the day alert. But I just want to show you something here. This alert was activated or triggered today at around 11:48. So if I come back here and reactivate it, what'll happen is the next time price comes or that trigger is alerted, it's going to alert me on my page. And again, you can see here in this one, this is for Chevron, and I had an alert if price was below 168.23, and it says it happened here at 110. Now we'll talk about notes and other things in a bit.
Right, and just to be clear, John, you have enable on-screen notifications checked, which is why we see that orange box right now. This alert also went to John's email, since he has that checked as well. And if he was configured for text alerts, he would also get the price alert to his mobile device. So you can get up to 3 different notifications whenever an alert is triggered, depending on your options that you set up here.
And then once you get that notification, you can either come back to the alert center here, or you can modify that alert. In other words, I could go back to Chevron and say, hey, maybe I want to look for a different lower price in terms of modifying that alert. All right, so the other thing, the way I can kind of manage my alerts is I can show by my symbols what markets I'm actually watching at, and I can just look at those alerts that are unique to those particular symbols. Another feature that is kind of cool is the flip charts, which we have on a lot of our data pages, our watch lists, our portfolios. And what's nice about this one is now you have the chart right in front of you. So again, if you're looking at a certain price, you know, in terms of maybe risk management, or looking this, you got an alert and you want to see what that price action is looks like, this is a way for you can kind of visually reset that alert. In other words, modify it, or say, hey, this is an alert that I'm aware of. Do I want to take my price action? So for instance, Apple is a great example here. When I go back to the center, I'm going to show you that I have 150 as an alert value. And so this is a way for me to watch Apple without being on top of it every day. I just want to know that price is either above or below 150. And in this case, right now, it is below 150. So as long as it stays below 150, I know that Apple is still in potentially a downtrend, and that's what it looks like here. Now, if price changes, or if the conditions of Apple change, maybe it gets below this 138, then I could go back into my alerts and readjust my alerts based on a new range of price parameters. Maybe I would say as long as Apple's below 138, or maybe I set a target maybe down around 120. So there you can see under Apple here, I want to know, is that at less than 150? And notice that there are differences between what some are intradays and EODs. Now again, be patient with me, we will get to that process. All right. So I can do it by managed by active or inactive. I can look at those that have been triggered. What time have they been triggered? I can look at a very specific symbol, or I can also use my flip charts. Now, what I want to do for you guys here is I just want to add a symbol to my alert page. Now, one of the stocks that is in my portfolio, and full disclosure, I do have some options on this one. It's EQT. It's a natural gas chart. And so you know that my background is in natural gas. So I want to just create an alert for EQT. So I've typed in the symbol. Now I'm going to open the alert page. And at this process here, now we have a lot of different avenues that we can go. First of all, we can talk about price alerts. We'll come back to that. We also have news alerts. So you can get an alert based on a news story that we get from our data feeds. Now you can use all of our feeds, or you could be very selective. You could look for just certain articles or our contributors or any of the other syndicated news agencies, all right? So let's go back to price alerts. So the next option I have is, do I want that alert to be sent to me based on an intraday price during the intraday, excuse me, during the regular market hours, or do I just want to know at the end of the day? So I just want to notice that on an intraday, once it is triggered, that alert becomes frozen or inactive, and it will not signal again until we reactivate it. If I pick an end of the day alert, notice that end of the day alerts will continually be monitored, and even after they're triggered. So in other words, if I sent set an alert as an end of the day, it'll continue every day to say that alert. So again, remember I talked about Apple, right? I have an end of the day alert. This is a way for me to keep track of Apple, but I don't need to worry about it on an intraday basis. I just know that as long as at the end of the day, if Apple's below 150, that Apple is still in that downtrend or in that range of price that I'm looking for. All right. So let's go back to creating our symbol. And let's just do a simple price alert. All right. So what are the different types of alert fields that we have available to us? So we have prices, we have percent change prices, prior day prices, high or low prices. And I can open up any of these and get very selective about what I want to know. What is the last price? What was the close? High? If it was above a certain price, was it below a certain price? So what I want to do, I'm very familiar with this stock. It's been in a range between $36 and $44. And I really want to know if price gets above a certain high. In other words, is today's high, or in the futures today's high, I want to see if it makes a new, in this case, new field, new high over the last 5 days. What I'm really saying here is I'm waiting for the market to make a new high that was created in the last 5 days.
Yeah, John, I do want to point out for our listeners that we are looking at Barchart Premier right now. If you were just a free member and you went to set a price alert, you're not going to see all of these different categories that John just showed you. All you'll be able to do is set a price based on last price, or an alert based on last price. Okay.
Can we clarify? Just clarify, it's last price based on a criteria, or is it just the last price?
No, just last price is greater than or equal to a certain value.
It's to a value. So, very good. Right. Excellent. 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 Okay. So let's just set this condition up. I like this. I want to see a new high. I want to know when today's high it makes a new high, which are 5-day high. And I'm going to save that. Now, before I save that, let's just put in here in the notes, let's just make a message to ourselves. Now, this message could be just telling me what the alert is. In this case, I'll just write 5-day high. But I also could put in here notes to myself about, is this alert something that I'm going to use for a trading opportunity, or is this an alert that I'm going to use for risk management? In this case, it's probably going to be more of a trading opportunity. So I'm going to save that. And again, here's my EQT. Now I have a new active alert if the market makes a new 5-day intraday high. And if I go back to my, let's refresh, go back to my center, there it is now in my center. Okay, so that's just a simple field that we can do. Now, remember I said about our notes, these notes are really kind of, could be critical to your process in terms of, you could be creating a lot of alerts and maybe you don't know which alert you're looking at or why you're looking at it. So for instance, like Alcoa here, I have an alert here that talks about a 1-month high, a percentage change in volume, and my note says here, this is my breakout, okay, a trading opportunity. Here is that Apple one, right? I'm using that 150 as a critical pivot point. In other words, if prices are below or above. Now here on Apple, I have another one which is based on a volume percentage change, where I'm going to see if I see a greater percent volume, a large amount of volume in Apple, that is telling me that the Apple is very active and there could be some trading opportunities. Well, what trading opportunities would I be thinking about? Well, I'd be looking at for options opportunities. Maybe I see some premiums have been actively trading. For instance, today on Chevron, I had an alert, was one of our alerts that we looked at, that was triggered today, and that was if price got below 168.85. And what was my note? Well, my note to myself here was if price closed below there, if I'm in this trade, which this is one of the markets, full disclosure, that I am in, that I'm going to exit that trade. Now, you might say, well, why is that? Well, again, I could just come back to my flip charts and see what Chevron is doing. And what I saw was we were in this range. We looked like we tried to break out. We didn't break out. And then if we broke down below this green candle, to me, that would be a signal that there was a failure in this and that maybe this is time to take a little profit. And a stock that has been in our portfolio for a long period of time and that has done pretty well. So again, I'm using this as a risk management
Okay,
tool.
John,
Yes.
oops, I was just going to say before you click out of that flip chart, I've got quite a few people asking me the same questions. So when John's looking at these charts, he has placed trend lines or those horizontal lines,
Horizontal lines.
right? Those are not the alerts. Alerts that you set do not appear on the chart. Those are just simply lines that John has drawn there. So if you are looking to find out, okay, where did I set the alert on this? You really should be using the alert center that will help you determine where you've placed your price alerts on here. So that's one thing I wanted to mention is that the chart is not, those lines on John's chart are not showing you the alerts that he's sent or set. Those are simply trend lines. Second thing, if you enter notes and your alert triggers, those notes are going to go to your email or to your text. Or John, go ahead. You've got a note set on that one. Go ahead and activate that alert. It should trigger immediately, and we'll see that on his on-screen notification.
Notification, right?
Last less than 168.85. That should be triggering. There we go. And you can
And
see
then,
John's note right there.
so
All right. So third thing that I do want to point out, again, this is a common question that's coming up here, is how quickly are these alerts triggered? So John, do you want to talk about that, about US equities? Or
well, from my understanding is that when we're in the regular trading hours, the market hours, then they're in real time. Outside of that regular trading hours, then there is a small time delay. Is that correct?
well, okay, so for US equities, when you set an alert and if it's during trading hours, we are basing these alerts off of the real-time price. That's during trading hours. For things like futures or Forex, you can set an alert on any symbol on the bar chart site. Those are all based off of delayed data. The only thing that is going to go after real-time data are US equities during market hours. And you know, when John activated that on-screen notification, you saw it wasn't instantaneously. We're not looking at the condition right there. We wait for the next trade to happen. So, okay, John, go ahead and activate that alert. Next time we get a trade, a real-time trade for Chevron, that's when the alert will trigger. And again, it's not going to be by the nanosecond or anything. There is a slight delay because it's going over the internet. There we go. That was the last trade that we got that signaled that alert condition was met.
Right.
One
And
other,
again, you look at the conditions here. It gives you also the current price that triggered that alert. In other words, we wanted it below 185. It's telling us the trade price here was 167.
okay. Right.
79.
So one more thing that I do want to point out, John, go ahead and click on that alert that triggered. Just go ahead and click on it. So
This one.
yeah, just right, modify the alert. For US equities, and again, if you're a Premier member, so go ahead and click on that last less than 168. Yes, open it up. Okay, under the prices and volume selection, John is basing this on the last price, the second selector. So go ahead and open up. You will see at the very, very bottom something called latest available. This field, if it's a US equity, will also monitor pre and post market prices. So if you're looking simply to trigger an alert based on what's happening during normal market hours, use last. If you're looking for pre and post market, use latest available. Okay. That I think covers all of the questions that I wanted to stop and back you up on and get covered here.
I
Okay, John?
appreciate that. Yeah, that's really good information, especially this last available, but especially those of you who are interested in what is happening outside of the regular trading hours. Now, there is some parameters to that as well, right? Where it could be a very small lot allocation as well. Is that something to that extent in terms of the
For the
price?
pre and post market, yeah,
Yes.
a lot of people choose not to use the latest available simply because you are going to get a lot of these, small condition trades, pre and post market.
Okay,
It's
great.
up to you. It's up to you. You can try them out and see which one works for you best.
Excellent. Okay, so that's kind of just a simple field, and again, what Gene was kind of pointing out. But let's think about what's one of the nicer features about alerts is where we can start doing multiple fields or multiple criterias. So let's do one of those. So here's Alcoa. Again, one of the stocks, those of you who come to a lot of my sessions know this is a stock that I like trading. Currently, I don't have a position in this one, but I do like trading it. So what I wanted to do on this one is create a multiple criteria uh, alert. So let's just look at some of some of the things that we can use. Well, like Gene pointed out, we can do it based on price or volume or percentage change. I showed you the new high and lows. Again, you can do it based on gaps or a gap range, a gap up or gap down or a percentage up or down. That is a nice little feature. For my day traders out there, for those of you who are familiar with our trader's cheat sheet, the support and resistance alert will give you access to that day's pivots, those traders floor pivots, those of you who are familiar with that. And this is one that you can use on an intraday as well, right? You can just set this up prior to the market opening and then look for those trading opportunities that you want either to buy or sell or be active when price reaches one of those floor trader pivot values.
Okay, John, I'd like to interrupt one more time. I'm so
No,
sorry. So I just spoke about how alerts trigger based on real-time prices. The alerts that I'm talking about are price alerts, things that are based on price. So when you start setting alerts based on things like technical analysis fields or these support and resistance fields, the bar chart opinion fields or the bar chart indicators, that is not real time. A lot of these data points we calculate them on the back end, and so it's not going to be real time. The last price is the real time alert. Some of these others are going to be on a delayed basis.
there's a small delay for the calculation to be configured and then sent to us. Is that what you're saying?
Internally within the bar chart database, that's correct.
Right. So what Gene's saying is, so for instance, like on a technical indicators that we might use, technical analysis, for instance, like a moving average, that data has to come in, it has to be crunched, and then eventually it'll be sent back out, right?
Correct. So John, while you're here in technical analysis, I have PJ is asking if you can just let's step us through a few of the technical analysis options. So for instance, a common one is moving average crosses. So if you select moving average, let's say you want to see when the 20-day moving average, instead of greater than a value, let's select greater than a field if that crosses above a different moving average. This is one really valuable way to use alerts to be notified when a market condition changes.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the ones that when I go through, show you some of the ones that I've already created, this is one of the ones that I like, is I like that 20-day moving average crossover, the 100-day moving average. I find that that is a very reliable trading signal. And that is actually one of our technical analysis that's in our part of our bar chart opinion page as well. So let's go back to Alcoa and let's do a multi. So again, Gene, we walked through the technical analysis part. Again, bar chart opinion. If those of you aren't familiar with this, this is kind of a composite of 13 different technical indicators that we have. Not that we're giving a market analysis opinion. It's just a combination of, and there is a webinar I'll show you in our archives where we talk about strength and direction, how you can use the opinion. Now, the one that I kind of like to use is the opinion indicators, and that's again what Gene was kind of just pointing out is, for instance, here is a short-term indicator, and there's that 100-day moving average. Now, the problem with this one is not a problem, is that you need to understand the common interpretation of what that signal is and how you wanted that information to be delivered to you. Again, is it just going to be a buy or sell signal? Or is it going to be looking at a longer period of time or a shorter period of time, strength and direction that is in that video? Or is it that signal is making a new signal? In other words, price is crossing over at that moment in time. So I'm just going to pick signal. I just want to see that the 100-day, excuse me, let's not use that one. I want to use a different one. Under my opinion indicators, I like the legacy ones, some of the legacy ones. These ones are a little bit more complex. This one is the EMAC. This is kind of a momentum indicator. And again, I'm just going to use the signal itself. I just want to know that the EMAC is showing me a buy signal. Now, I want to add some more conditions to this. So the next condition I'm going to add to this one is I'm going to look at volume. I want to see that not only do I get a price crossover or MACD crossover, but I'm going to pick a volume percentage change. I want to see that that volume is confirming that momentum change. And I could do this on a variety of percentages. So I'm just going to use a low threshold right here of 10%. And then on top of that, now I also want to see that I have a positive MACD. I'm seeing an increase in volume, but also now I want to see a price indication. In this case, I want to see a market make that day's price is making a new 1-month high. And then I can save that alert. And there it is. MACD, buy signal, volume greater than 10%, and making a new monthly high.
John, can you open up that alert that you just created again?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, just click on it. So John's got a scroll bar on the right side that he's using to scroll down. Sometimes we get questions in our support group about, well, I don't see how I can add multiple conditions. Just remember, when you are setting a multi-conditional alert, you might have to scroll the alert down to add a new condition. At the very, very bottom, do you see where it says add a new condition? So as you keep on doing that, it keeps on getting longer and longer and longer. Just use a scroll bar to go down. Okay?
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. So this is kind of one of the alerts that I like using. Now, if you have a set of criteria that you want to use or alerts that you want to use, one of the cool features that we can do from this point now is I can standardize that alert. In other words, I'm going to go to something called the alerts template. Notice also it says up here, add an alerts template. If I go to the alerts template, here what I can do is I can create an alert that now that I can use for all my symbols. And for instance, let's see where it is. Here it is. There is that EMAC buy signal. So I open that up, and there's those criteria that we just talked about. Our legacy report, our EMAC. I want to see a buy signal. I want to see 10% volume and a new monthly field. So that when I go back to my alert center, if I added a symbol or I just have one of my symbols that are the stocks that I'm following or any of the equities or markets that I'm doing, I can just come back into alerts here and then find that template and then save it. And that same alert that I just did for the Alcoa, I just added it to Apple. So this is a kind of nice little feature, especially if you're looking at the same criteria of alerts. Now let me just show you some of the ones that I have that maybe give you some ideas of things that you might want to look at. So there again, there's like what Gene was talking about, that simple 2100-day moving average crossover. Again, here I'm just want to know if it's crossing over. Is it a buy, sell, or hold signal? New monthly highs, new monthly lows. Here's a volume increase. That one was one that I put with Apple. So there's a lot of different ones that we can use. Turtle breakout. This is kind of one that I learned when I was working on the floor. I want to see a new monthly high with an increase of volume. In other words, a confirmation of price. And this one, monthly high on a 20% increase of volume. So this is an alert when I'm looking at a particular stock that looks like it's getting close to breaking out. I don't really want to see it when it breaks out with volume. So that's kind of a nice little feature.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
John, before you leave here, I want you to point out that there's a checkbox right at the top to use this template as your default price alert. So that's another really, it's a huge time saver. If you intend to set this turtle breakout alert on a whole set of symbols, you can flag it as the default. So then when you open up the alerts box for a symbol, it's going to preset that template already for you. All you have to do is click save and bang, you're done. Okay, you have to, whoops, you didn't save the.
Oh, so I didn't save the template?
You didn't save that template. Well, you can also check a default template over here toward the right. So you can select it there as a default template. And now whenever I enter an alert for any symbol, it's going to pre-fill the template in. Go ahead, no, click add alert. Bang, there it is. My template's been applied. I can save it and I've got my alert already set up. So I know, right, I know you're eventually going to get into this, but the one other thing that people might already be noticing is that These alert filters look very, very similar to filters that we have on our screeners. And John's going to get to that a little bit later on, but I do want to point out that almost every single filter available in the screeners are also available in Premier Alerts. So the amount of options and flexibility that you have in configuring your own alerts to be triggered when markets change, it's infinite. You have a ton of options there.
So, any other questions are popping up? Because I know, like you said, there is that one question that we do get a lot from support, and I want to answer that one. But in case, let's take a pause here. Any other
Yeah,
questions,
I've
Jeremy?
actually I've been interrupting you, John. I'm so sorry. I've been
No,
interrupting you
no, I think this is
and
awesome.
pointing
Um,
things out that that as they come up. So go ahead.
Great, great. So yeah, one of the questions that Gene kind of noted was one of the questions that we do get a lot is, can I create an alert for, let's say, a watch list or for a portfolio? And the answer is no, but yes. So what I want to do is walk you through how we can do that process. You know, there's always a couple of different ways we can skin a cat, so to speak. So let's go to our stock screener. And as Gene pointed out, is notice that when I open up the fields for the stock screener, that a lot of the fields are the exact same ones that we just saw in our alerts. So what I can do now is I can create a screener, and I'm going to save that screener. And let's create that same screener that we just did for our alerts. So we'll start with our bar chart opinion, our bar chart options, opinion indicators. There's our legacy ones. There's our EMAC, right? Do I want the signal? I'm going to add it. I want the buy signal. We'll come into volume. I want a percent change of volume. We said 10%. And a new high. In other words, a new high price, new month high. So now what I've done is I've taken the same criteria that I created with that alert, and I've created a screener. Let's see the result. Now this is going to result is for all the stocks or all the equities that are available to me. But then what I can do is I can come in here and save that screener, and I can name that screener. In this case, let's just call it our EMAC. We'll just call it a webinar for today. And then I can save that screener. Now I could have this screener for all the different stocks or all the different markets, and then have that sent to me just like any other uh, notification, email notification. But let's save that, right? Now what I can do is I can come back into set filters, and up here it says load screeners, and I have these screeners that I've saved. In other words, this EMAC webinar screener. But now what I can do is I can go to a specific list. In this case, one of my watch lists. Any of the different watch lists that I've created. But let's say I just want to look at the S&P. I'll see that result. And so what I've now done is I've set that specific screener, in other words, an alert, and it's telling me that in the S&P, this is the only stock that is creating those criterias. Again, I can save that EMAC webinar, and then again, Gene, right? I could say this is going to be for my S, and P, right?
Right. So John is creating a screener on a specific watch list using alert criteria. And even though we come up and we see that there's one result, what you can do, and again, this is a Premier membership option, you can actually select all of these things at market open, midday, and market close and end of day. So whenever we run these screeners and send them to you, you will get the results of the screener that's run at that specific time. Like John said, this is kind of how you can get away with setting an alert, the same alert on your entire watch list or portfolio or groups of stocks, and somewhat automate it. The other option is to go through every single symbol on your watch list or your portfolio and set up individual alerts that will trigger when they happen. This screener is going to alert you of the same kind of market conditions up to 4 times a day, as John is showing you. So what you want to do here is save this. You probably want to change that email me the top 10 results. No, well,
Yeah.
you want to probably see, yeah, top 50 if you get 50 hits on that. And once John saves this, he's automatically going to get an email alerting him to those conditions.
Awesome. So that's kind of a basic overall view of how to learn to use the alerts page. I think what Gene and I have been advocating here is there's so many ways that we can use the alerts center, the alerts setup templates. And really, if you think about it, if you think about something that you want to be aware of or be alerted about, there's really a way we can do that for you. Would you agree with me with that, Gene?
That's correct. It might not be, like I said, the real-time alert triggering immediately with on-screen notifications, but what just was demonstrated for you using the screener. There's a lot of different things you can do with Barchart Premier to at least keep you notified and looking at the markets when you want to look at them.
Okay, so let's do this. What are some of the takeaways? Well, first of all, and this is the most important one, is to really truly benefit from the alerts features is that you need to be a premier member. All those things that we just walked through, all that stuff is premier membership. Free members are limited to just one price alert per symbol. In other words, a value. In other words, just a simple price. To really get the benefits of the alert centers, the alerts features, you need to be a premier member. Now, alerts are an excellent way to stay familiar with a particular stock, in other words, or a commodity or a currency or an ETF. The example I showed you with Apple, where I don't need to watch Apple every day. I just want to know if it's above or below a certain price, or that a certain technical indicator is still showing me that buy signal or that sell signal. I can get alerts through a variety of ways, either through email, through text, or on-site notifications. And then also, what I was kind of showing to you is that using alerts for setting up particular trading criteria opportunities, something that I'm waiting for. Again, that don't need to be in front of the screen every day to wait for those criteria or that setup to develop. But I really like alerts in terms of risk management. In other words, for a lot of my portfolio pieces, and for instance, that Chevron trade, I just set my alert based on my criterias, and then I don't need to be on top of my portfolio at all the time. Once I get that alert, then I make that actionable decision. And finally, in that last process, what we just did is that alerts can be multi-dimensional, in other words, multiple sets of criterias. And this really allows you as a trader, as a Barchart Premier member, to zero in on a very set specific set of criteria that will alert you when they all line up in that process. Okay. So here's the greatest thing about all of what we just talked about. We offer a 30-day trial for Premier. So what do you have to lose to try set up a Premier trial and try practicing with some of these alerts? I would argue the only thing that you lose is not using it and lose money or missed opportunities because you're not using alerts in your day-to-day trading or your week-to-week trading. And again, what I said in my introduction is that, as I've grown as a trader, I learn from other traders. And this is one of the things I learned from some of my mentors, is that it's really important for us to let our resources or our tools, in this case, Premier Barchart, to do that work for us, to keep us aware of what is going on around us. There's so many markets, so many different stock symbols to keep on track of, and it's just impossible for just one person to do that. Anything else that you want to add, Jean, before we close up today?
Well, why don't we talk about next week, John?
Okay, cool. Let's do that. Oop, oop, sorry. Oop, there we go.
Whoops.
Yep. Something talked about. We were talking about that senior moment, right? There you go. Okay, upcoming webinars. Again, all of our webinars are recorded, and then you can come back and watch this. So I know we went over a lot of stuff. We went very quickly, but this webinar will eventually pop up sometime, probably this afternoon, right, Jean?
That's correct. Give us a couple hours. You'll find today's session on that archived webinars tab.
All right, so for next week, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say,
I've been interrupting you all afternoon, so go ahead, John.
it's all right. I think it's important that you have, like I said, your expertise is far out shines mine. So I know that our subscribers benefited from it. So I really appreciate your input. So next week we're going to look at something called average true range, Wells Wild. Wells Wilder, some people call him the grandfather of technical analysis. And this tool of what is a measurement, a so-called measurement of volatility. But what I'm going to do is we're going to step outside the box from what Wells had designed this for. And over the years, many technical analysis or traders have learned to make some adaptations to this. And we're going to look at how we can use the average true range in a variety of ways for day traders, for swing traders, for long-term traders, looking for trading opportunities, looking for risk management. And I really think that out of all the technical analysis available to you, this one has so many different types of applications that I call it, and it's kind of a joke here, but I call it the Swiss Army knife of technical analysis because of all this the different applications we have. So come and join for that one. Those of you who are using this, maybe I'll give you some new ideas. Those who are unfamiliar with the average true range, boy, you're going to find how really powerful this tool is. Not only is it a knife and a screwdriver and a bottle opener, but it's also a tweezer and a toothpick. So come back and really and check this one out. The other thing that I want to do before we enter is leave is, you can sign up for notifications. So all of our upcoming webinars, you'll be notified once they become available. And also that all of our sessions will end up on our YouTube page. So you can go and visit barchart.com on Barchart YouTube page, and you can access all of those as well. For those of you who are watching on the YouTube, make sure that you give me a like or drop a comment in there. Maybe send me, here's an idea in the comments. Let me know what alerts you're using, because I'm always interested in learning from other people. So, and my traders out there, tell me what alerts that you're using for looking for trading opportunities. That'd be cool. I'd appreciate that. Anything else, Gene?
No, that wraps it up for this session.
Okay, great. Well, I want to wish everybody out there be safe. I know the markets are really crazy today. Be safe out there. The best of health and the good of all trading.